All right, and this is our last question. It came from another one of our users on Facebook. Now she says, both my feet are swollen and sore at the bottom, especially under the heels. Now, what can I do and how do I treat that?
The swollen feet is a massive entity, and you know, the causes of swollen feet are commonly associated with circulation issues. In other words, the blood pools in the lower leg, and by that I mean, in a healthy person, your veins actually send blood back up towards the heart. You know,
Right.
Once the oxygen and the nutrients have been taken out of it, the veins bring it back to the heart to be oxygenated again and recycled. In some people, however, the venous return in the legs is poor and slow due to the valves that squeeze the blood and assist with one-way flow back to the heart. Those valves become impaired and their function is in doubt. So we have then pooling, and because the blood's moving so slowly, you have the movement of water into the soft tissue and what we call edema, which is the swelling of the soft tissue in the lower legs and around the ankle specifically. The condition of swollen feet and lower legs is often associated with fluid imbalance problems, so heart failure often presents like that, kidney failure, and even liver failure.
Wow.
And that's got to do with moving water between the different compartments of the human body, you know, from outside the blood vessel to inside the blood vessel, back to the heart, etc. However, if there is an inflammatory condition, and she describes pain under the heel particularly, one would certainly go and look for an anatomical cause. Is there a mechanical problem? In other words, a bony spur underneath the heel that could be pressing on the muscle or the tendon, causing pain on both sides, and also obviously tenderness. So one would ask her certainly what shoes she's wearing. One would possibly even look at the time of day when she has the worst pain. Is it after being on your feet for long periods of time, etc. And then obviously look at doing an x-ray to look at the bony structures first, make sure there aren't any bony spurs. But once again, we'd look at the patient holistically, looking at the other signs.
Right.
Are there signs of heart disease or kidney problems and fluid imbalance in the body because of the bilateral swelling or not?
Well, those all sound very serious. So if I had swollen feet, would you recommend I see a doctor almost immediately when I recognize that that's
No, I
happening?
think you should put your feet up first.
And see if it goes away.
I always say 45 minutes at 45 degrees.
Right.
So that 45 degrees is quite an angle, and you'd put your feet up for a period of 45 minutes, twice or three times a day. And you often notice if your feet are swollen mildly, and by the time you wake up in the morning, they're back to normal, often that's a result just of pooling. In other words, just a bit of poor circulation issues. To get that improved, what you need to do is rehydrate so the blood's not too thick, and then exercise. Get the pump function going, get the blood circulating by actually exercising more and not being so sedentary.
Now, how important is the shoe in all of this?
The shoes are important. You can imagine with posture, everything is about alignment and balance, from the neck through the spine to the hips and how the hips tilt, and then the weight that is distributed that we all carry on our skeletons into the shoes and into the feet. So your arch support is quite important. If you've got flat feet, be very aware of the fact that you could develop knee and lower back problems, for example, and you might need a decent arch support, especially if you're carrying a lot of weight and you're overweight, or if you're doing rigorous exercise and putting the joints under a lot of strain. Then you should definitely check out those mechanics and look at enough shock absorption in the equipment that you're using, the right shoes for the right activity certainly, and then also anatomically whether you need ankle supports or arch supports rather, and then take it from there.